Today I learned that the FBI has struggled to hire hackers because of the FBI hiring rule that the applicant must not have used marijuana during the last 3 years. Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm so glad you've decided to join me today. Whether you're new to my channel or whether you already subscribed, I'm grateful to have you here and I can't wait to get started. So grab a cup of your favorite drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy. The FBI has struggled to find qualified hackers because of their strict hiring rule that applicants must not have used marijuana in the last 3 years. This rule may exclude otherwise qualified candidates who have used marijuana in the past, making it difficult for the FBI to find enough qualified applicants. That is why the FBI hackers aren't as good as they otherwise could be. Let's see what the people on Reddit have to say about that. So, I don't have to worry about any of my stoner buds being undercover. What a relief. Was getting paranoid. Officers who are undercover are allowed to break the law, so they don't blow their cover. I remember a cop in Washington state got his cocaine addiction covered under workman's comp. He became addicted through his undercover work. It had to go through court and eventually they ruled in his favor. Edit. Since some of you are asking, here's a link. https://www.up.com/archives/24/10/1986. A police officer has been granted disability retirement because $1,496,530,510,400. The issue was actually about a disability retirement and not workman's comp. It happened in 1986 and I remember reading about it when it was fresh news. So my recollection is off a little. FBI, do you smoke marijuana? Hacker, no, just cocaine. FBI, he's clean. FBI, do you smoke marijuana? Hacker, no, but I drink all day every day. FBI, he's clean. Lol. As a successful software engineer, we do both. Basically have to with all the crunch time and egos involved in the field. They came to speak to the CS department at my college my freshman year. They begged everyone to stop smoking weed now so they could hire us when we graduated, and proceeded to say how many great CS people they had to let go for smoking. I've only smoked a handful of times, but to be that restricted and take a huge pay cut when I know I could be making cash in any one of the big cities, it's ridiculous. I smoked only a handful of times this morning. I used to smoke weed. I still do, but I used to too. Mitch, I like that we don't even need to see his last name anymore. He's just Mitch and we know who he is. He's just Mitch and we know who he is. Sorry for the convenience. We have had a few unofficial conversations at my work among middle management. They had talked about random testing and it was decided that was a really bad idea. We would lose 90% of the programmers and 75% of the field. What would have been the point in the first place? Are the programmers driving forklifts for half the day? It is a Puritan morals thing with some whack job people. From the generation that brought you getting shit-faced at lunch and calling it a business meeting for tax returns. Here's their newest hit, controlling free time behavior that has no impact on work. Perfection. I know a guy who is about as straight edge as anyone you could meet. He wanted to join the RCMP. He worked toward this goal for years, volunteering at the police department, getting in shape, never doing anything remotely illegal. When they did his security check they found out his sister had a record for dealing a little weed. This was before legalization. They told him if he ever wanted to be a Mountie he had to cut her out of his life. His sister. So they lost an applicant who would have been one of the good ones. This is some Scientology-s. You should look into the random polygraphs the FBI and the CIA do, and the abusive practices they do. Also, check out antipolygraph.org. Polygraph tests are mostly just for show. It's pseudoscience used to scare people into making confessions. That's why it is not allowed to be used in pretty much any court of law in the USA. Its creator even admitted it was BS right before his death. The creator of the polygraph test was also the guy who invented Wonder Woman and he also had a throuple with him. His wife, and another woman and they all raised their kids together. And they say NPR is boring. As a federal employee, I constantly hear how the FBI has the most archaic standards. A lot of federal law enforcement agencies have become too insular. There are 2 reasons I could not become an FBI agent. You need to be under 35 to become an FBI agent. This is in the written hiring requirements. In the private sector, this would be a slam dunk age discrimination claim. I am in my 40s. You need to accept 50% of market rate compensation. The FBI is hiring young people who do not know their market value. Special agent is just one job the FBI has. Intel analyst, plus a huge swatch of STEM jobs, do not have the same age and physical fitness stipulations if I recall correctly, but point 2 still stands. Crazy to me too. I saw a few postings for the FBI when I was looking at jobs. I make only $2,000 less working in a Canadian municipality for IT than I would have as a software engineer for the FBI. I can understand the whole being super into serving your country thing, and some people don't need the money, I guess. The crazier part to me is that you'd think they'd reason that they would want their employees to not be broke or have money problems, thus making them more vulnerable to being bribed, flipped, etc. Every time there has ever been a mole situation, the guy wasn't even getting paid that much. If they would have just watched Jurassic Park, they could have learned this. Be a lot cooler if they did. Even if the FBI were to get rid of the weed rule, why would someone who studied CS want to work for the FBI when you could be making double at tech companies? You mean to tell me other people get to smoke weed and get paid double, and the free food and alcohol is a nice bonus? Not to mention the designated Crunker IO breaks. Well, there goes my afternoon work productivity. Mother F, looks like I'm failing this summer term. Just a tip, use the sniper and quick scope. Reminds me of how easy it was in MW2. Nah man. Shotgun boost jump FTW. Also, they make them put their real names on their name badges instead of their awesome hacker names like Zero Cool, Crash Override, and Acid Burn. This right here is the real deal breaker. I was stationed at Fort Gordon for 3 years. I made friends with a lady that worked at Honey Pot down in the NSA dungeon. I had a TS clearance, so she could at times give me some answers to the problems they were encountering. Well, hiring was one of them. They wanted to conduct more offensive ops and work on better tools to exploit 0 days they had discovered in popular apps being used overseas. I think their primary function was nation-state cyber S. She told me that 70-90% of the people they wanted to hire could not qualify because they either smoked pot or had done it in the past few years. They also didn't like the antiquated and conservative dress codes, etc. I told her the story of the Russian dude that was able to garner NSA secrets a few years prior. I can't remember his name today, but the dude was a 400-pound pot smoking, energy drinking gamer. Smart as hell though. He could breach systems like no other without being detected and was able to take advantage of 340 days whole teams that the NSA could not figure out. So Russia hired him. He was actually Ukrainian if I remember. I think this same guy did some damage to Israeli and Saudi intelligence and had others inside of Russia helping him. I told her these are the guys gals they want. If you tell them they have to work 9-5, dress up and go into work, not smoke pot, you're 100% F. This puts us at a huge disadvantage. I work in tech, and after I retired from the army and started working for a large firm, my mind was blown how many smoked some pot on a Friday or over the weekend instead of drinking. It really changed my views on using it recreationally. Even the CEO smoked it, and this moth was worth almost $1 billion at the time. And here my dad is telling me he's a loser for smoking pot. I'm like, that moth is worth almost $1 billion and has smoked pot his whole life. And he's a loser? You kidding me, Dad? It's people like my dad and old conservative views on the workforce that are slowly whittling away at any advantage we ever have. I know for a fact we are way behind in the cyber realm.